Hi, everyone. I'd like to take a moment to introduce myself as well as walk you through how to set up the Google Sites that we're going to be using in this course. My name is Jessica Sturgeon, and I'm in my final semester of the Education Doctorate program here at University of Wyoming. And I'm going to be working closely with Dr. Katzman as we make our way through this course. So you'll see me sometimes doing some of your grading and assignment posting and hopefully providing just another perspective and a resource for you as well. I'm in my 16th year of education. I live in Nebraska. I'm from St. Louis, Missouri, and moved to Nebraska. And I started my career in seventh grade science, which is primarily life sciences and human body anatomy, cells, that sort of thing. We also did a little bit of magnetism and some kind of one-off topics as well. After I taught middle school, I moved to the high school level where I taught biology, and now I currently teach 10th through 12th grade, so chemistry and astronomy. So I've taught most of the subjects in science. In addition, I have two elementary age girls, and I keep a close eye on what they're learning in general, as well as, in particular, their science education and what they're learning and how they are learning it. So I hope that I can bring some additional perspectives for you all. And I hope that if you are currently intimidated or not that interested in teaching science in your future career, that you learn to love it. It's a pretty cool way to experience the world again when you are seeing it through the eyes of little ones. So I hope we have a great semester. And at this time, I'm going to transition to going over how to set up a Google Sites. So what I would encourage you to do from here on out is pause the video as needed to kind of follow along the steps. And the first thing that you're going to want to do is in a new browser window or tab, pull up your Google. If you have a Google or a Gmail account, go ahead and pull that up. And if you don't, go ahead and quickly set one up. And I would recommend using some professional version of your name to set that up. So I'll give you a minute to do that, and I'm going to pull up my screen share as well. Okay, so once you are logged into Google, maybe the fastest way to access this is either from the 9 kind of Google Apps dots up here, or to just go to Google itself and then type in Google Sites. Okay, and once you get to that, you can click into yours, and if you're already logged in, you should see something that looks like this. Okay, and you can choose any of these templates. That's something that you can kind of play around with after. They have quite a bit of kind of pre-made, so this is not anything that you're going to have to formally put together. Okay, but I would go ahead and just choose student portfolio or something, and you can always kind of modify it after the fact. Okay. So once you have clicked on that, okay, I would title it with your name. Okay. So I'm just going to call it Sturgeon for now. You can obviously change that as it fits you. Okay. And off to the side here, I need my window open there a little bit more. You're going to see all sorts of things that you can do if you've never worked with Google Sites before to easily modify your website. Okay. And so you don't need to know coding or anything like that. And then you can add in all these different things as well and directly embed them into your site. Now, the great thing, the advantage of having a Google Sites is that even when you leave this class and leave the university, you can have it. So you can either use it to personally reference if it's something that's interesting to you, or useful to you going forward. Hopefully you'll be able to take bits and pieces of this course and integrate it directly into your first teaching job. And you can share it with others. So if you think that it would be helpful to you, um, potentially getting a job or any use like that, you can use this link and you'll always have it. So there's all sorts of things that you can do directly from here. If you have Gmail or Google Photos on your phone, you'll also be able to easily take pictures with your phone and drop them directly into this site, which will be useful, especially when we're doing things like building our eco columns. So you can have some creative liberties here on this front page, but what I would like you to do now is go to this tab right here. So we have insert, and then if you see my mouse right here, we have pages. Okay. And this is what I would like to set up. So you're going to keep your home page. And then where it says classes, we're actually going to modify that and we're going to have three different pages that we're going to be working through. So for the first one, okay, we're going to go to properties. So you can just click the dots that pop up here. And for the very first page, what we want to do is we're going to call this our class journal. Okay. And that's where you're going to be posting most of your work for this class. It's going to go into the class journal. The next one, go over to these three dots, and we're going to go to properties, and we are going to call this one reflections. And hit done. And then we need to add an additional page here. So when you go to your classes, you can go over here and just say add subpage. And we're going to call this new subpage eco columns. And done. And now you have your three primary ways that we're going to be communicating your work in this class. Okay, and you can kind of play with that as well. And you can go ahead and delete the rest of it if you'd like. Okay, so if you go ahead and go to class journal, and the heading is already pre-populated there, so you can modify the top of that. Oh my goodness. Okay. And again, you can have quite a few creative liberties here. You can change the background and all that. And what we would really like for you to do is to ensure that each time that you add, you're adding to the top so that as we work our way through the class, the stuff that you're doing first or now in the class is going to be towards the bottom, and then your most recent things will be towards the top. And you're going to want to put a date, a title, and a date for each assignment. Just to be clear, what your work is. And again, in here you can modify your text. You can type directly into this. You can add in pictures. You can do all sorts of things straight from here. You can change what these blocks look like and so forth. I think that most of kind of the formatting options in Google Sites is fairly intuitive. However, should you need help, please reach out and I can zoom through it or just explain it via email. So some of your assignments, it's going to be more appropriate to perhaps just have one picture, and that's completely fine. That's completely appropriate. Other times it may make the most sense if you kind of scroll down on the side here to directly link a Google Doc if you're using Docs. Um, you could link in Google Slides, Sheets, Forms, any of those, obviously, that you can see there. YouTube, if you happen to record something on YouTube and upload it, you can embed it directly in there as well. You can also add in an image carousel, which is kind of cool. So your viewers can click through those images rather than having them being placed still directly on your screen. Okay. So these content blocks, your images, your themes, you can change any of these. You can go through and change the colors. And so you can really take some ownership over this and kind of enjoy the formatting and the design side here as well. Google Sites is something that you could potentially use as well to maintain for your classroom, depending on what your future school district or school uses. It is something that I used primarily as a means of communication to students and parents for probably 5 to 8 years of my teaching career. And I still maintain a site just with some extra resources on it as well that students can access as needed. So it's always going to be a good skill to have, and they've continued to make it more and more intuitive. So you can insert any of these and just kind of play around with that. And finally, when you are done, at least with the initial setup, you're going to want to go up to this big kind of bluish purplish button at the top where it says publish. And you're going to click that. And yours might actually ask you for a name for the Google Sites. And I would highly recommend just using some version of your last name. So I think I ended up with Sturgeon 12 or something along those lines. And then you're going to say, got it. And you can see the different versions there, you're currently published, and so forth. So you'll just want to make sure that you are always publishing your most recent version. This is kind of essentially your save. So any changes that you make will not be visible to anybody else unless you hit that publish button. So you'll hit publish. Um, you may need to change the settings on this as well, so you can change them here. Yep, so you see my web address there. You can just choose some version of your last name. You can request that public search engines do not display it. That's completely appropriate. And then you can hit save. And the important thing here is that you'll want to copy that website domain, the sites.google.com/, and that is how you are going to communicate your work to Dr. Katzman and I. So you'll need to make sure that you copy the appropriate tab and insert that into your assignments. And then you're done for now. So hopefully that's a good starter kind of crash course to getting your class set up. I'll go back to pages in case that you need to see that again. And then on your home screen as well, you can you can insert a table of contents. This table of contents is going to be pre-populated with whatever is below it on the home screen. So whatever you want to show up here. So for this about me, I could put science is cool. And that's what's going to show up there. So you cannot directly actually edit this. You edit your table of contents by changing your information down below on your home screen. Okay. So hopefully that helps, and please reach out at any time if you're having trouble with this. Thank you guys.